So I'm here at summer camp. I'm here as a camp counselor. And it kind of got me thinking that this would be a good topic to talk about today. So summer camp can be a little tricky for anybody. But when you have albinism and you are a kid, there can be some extra challenges. Things like trying to remember to put sunscreen on, knowing when to put sunscreen on, all that kind of fun stuff. Navigating around maybe somewhere that's new and unfamiliar. So we're just going to come about our week and see what kind of things we can talk about. First thing I want to talk about is navigation. It's hard to navigate yourself around a new environment. I think a good idea to maybe help with this would be to see if your kid can be paired up with somebody who is going to be doing a lot of the same things. Something else that could be a challenge is your camp book. I don't know what kind of camp your child might be going to. We are at a church camp, so we have camp books that have devotions in it, notes for taking during service, things like that. For me, as a counselor, I have my phone, and so I can take a picture, and then I can see things. For a camper, that might be a little bit more difficult. At our camp, we don't let the kids have cell phones. That might be something to maybe talk to somebody ahead of time and say, is there any way that my child can get some kind of large print version or something that they would be able to see, some kind of accommodation for that. The brightness is also a factor because you're going to be outside, and if you're going to be outside, there's a lot of sunlight. You're going to be outside a lot at summer camp. So a hat and sunglasses. I would even recommend getting one of those the bands that your sunglasses attach to, so that you can not worry about losing your sunglasses if you're out on the lake or something like that. Because it is not fun to be at camp and your sunglasses, something happens to them and you're like, oh no, now I don't have sunglasses. That's kind of a terrifying thought. One time I was at camp and I lost a screw. Thankfully I found the screw, but I had to get somebody to put it back in for me. So I would definitely recommend an extra pair of sunglasses. I would recommend waterproof sunscreen, which a lot of it is. My opinion on sunscreen, the brand I like is Neutrogena, because Neutrogena is a skincare brand, and I find that their sunscreens are not greasy. So that is one that I personally like to use. Something I was thinking about is make sure that your child gets introduced to the people that they would be potentially looking for if they needed help. For instance, the camp nurse, or their counselors in their cabin, or maybe some of the people who are in charge of specific things. For instance, the snack shop. Things like that, just because if they're looking for specific areas, they kind of know a little bit of who to look for to kind of get to where they need to go. They know who to ask. They'll know who is specifically a person who works there, as it were. I remember going to camp as a kid, and it can be really overwhelming. And even as an adult, like, I come to this camp, this is my 9th year coming as a counselor, and I mean, I have a hard time being able to tell who people are and being able to distinguish kind of from a distance whether it's an older kid, an older teenager, or one of the younger adult counselors. So that can legitimately be a bit of a challenge. I really think it's a good idea to make sure that they can kind of have a buddy. Again, if they're going in a group setting where, like this is a church camp, so they all know each other. But if you're in a situation where your kid is going to a camp that's just a summer camp, where they don't know each other. If they have any siblings or any other friends that are going, see if they can get kind of put together so that they can kind of help each other out. That really would be helpful. Another aspect is sunscreen. It's hard to know when's the best time to put sunscreen on. I find looking at the schedule will help you know when is the appropriate time, when would be the best time to put sunscreen on. For our camp, we have a pretty routine. Every day is basically the same schedule. So I know that I can put sunscreen on in the afternoon and not have to do it in the morning because I'll be inside most of the morning. It's hard to address all of the things that might occur at camp because there's so many different kinds of camp that your kid could end up going to. For instance, like I said, this camp is a church camp, and it's 2 or 3 churches where their youth groups come together every year at this campground, and we do a week of camp. So a lot of the kids come in groups, so they know at least the people within their group. The other kinds of camps being things like, summer themed camps where, it's just random kids coming together and having camp. So they may legitimately not know anybody at camp. And that can be a little bit scary when you have vision problems and you can't see and recognize people. I kind of try to just address some of the more general things, but if there's anything more specific that you would like to know about or have questions about or want some suggestions for, please go ahead and leave them down in the comments. So hopefully this gives you just a little bit of insight on the subject of summer camp and some of the struggles that might occur so that you can kind of plan ahead for that for your child. And stay tuned for more blind perspectives.